Welcome back to my channel for a short Leica episode, and the topic of this video is the following. Since the new Leica M11 hit the market in, I think it was January 13, I of course spent a lot of time with that new Leica rangefinder camera and looked into all the features, tested it forth and back, and posted a lot of videos about this new camera. But people in the comments, they typically ask me, what happened to your Leica M10R or what happened to your Leica M10 Mono? And on both cameras, in the next weeks, you will find videos on my channel. And this is a very short episode about shooting the night sky with the Leica M10R. Let's get started. Just a few weeks after the Leica M11 was announced, mid-January this year, and I actually had it already for testing beginning of December in 2021, I posted a video about night photography with this new Leica rangefinder camera. And the footage coming from that camera in low light environment, but also in particular if you go for night landscape photography, is just terrific. And the dynamic range is super high. The camera resolution is preserved even in a low light environment, and I was very happy with the results. But when it comes to the night sky, which is one particular object you might want to have in mind when you go for night photography, the higher resolution here of 60 megapixel compared to 40 megapixel is kind of a disadvantage, because if you have less pixels on the same sensor size, you typically have a larger pixel size, and that means less noise and better capabilities if it comes to stars and the night sky. And that's why I took some images with the Leica M10R here and just wanted to briefly show them to confirm to all of you maybe out there who did not yet get their Leica M11 or decided to stay on the Leica M10R, there is nothing wrong in staying with the Leica M10R. It's an absolutely fantastic camera, and there are situations where a lower resolution is actually superior to a higher resolution. So let's have a look into my lens here, and then let's have a look into the sample images I wanted to show. The lens I used for the night photography shooting is a Tri-Elmar-M lens, and it has 3 different focal lengths, which you can see here. There is 16mm, there is 18mm, and there is 21mm. And don't be mistaken, this is not a zoom lens. It just has 3 different focal lengths built into one and only one lens. It has a widest open aperture of f4, which is just right and perfect for wide angle landscape photography, and you can stop this down all the way to f22. The Tri-Elmar-M is indeed a very versatile lens, and I must say I use it a lot on my rangefinder cameras, and clearly you can shoot these type of M lenses on almost any camera available in the market with a suitable adapter. Since this is supposed to be a short Leica episode, I'll not provide a fully fledged lens review here. What I wanted to say is that the 40 megapixel sensor of the Leica M10R with its super high dynamic range and its high resolution, lower than what you have on the Leica M11 with 60 megapixel, but still pretty high if you compare it with previous rangefinder cameras where you typically had 24 megapixel, is ideal for night sky photography. And I was choosing a location outside of Zurich, which I will show in a moment, and I took some sample images, and I think they are quite nice and confirm what I said just a couple of minutes ago. If you are an owner of the Leica M10R, use it, shoot it. It's a fantastic camera, and in particular for those of you who like to spend long nights outside and chase the stars, the Milky Way, and go into low light environments when it comes to landscape, you will be very happy with the results you get out of this camera. Before concluding the video, let me make a few comments on a few sample images here. So first of all, looking into this one here, you see that the sky is nicely represented and the horizon here with the trees on the mountains is also really sharp, and there is not too much noise in the image. So you see in the metadata, this was an ISO of 1600. I was shooting all images at the widest open aperture available on that lens, which is an f4.0. And it's a 16-second image, which is just fine for the stars not to trail on a wide-angle lens like the Tri-Elmar-M. This image indicating the Milky Way speaks for itself. I had the Milky Way on top of my head. I had chosen the wrong timing, so typically I plan this in photo pills. But this evening I was just in the mood going out for night sky photography, and I actually didn't really care about having the Milky Way not at the horizon over the mountains in the usual way. And again, it's a nice image. If you look into 100% zoom here, you see a nice representation of objects in the night sky. Again, it's an ISO of 1600 and widest open f4.0. I actually allowed the camera to go up to 32 seconds here. That typically creates a bit of star trailing because that's too long even at a wide angle, but the image nevertheless looks nice and I like it. By the way, what you see here in this area is a typical light trail coming from the lighting of an airplane, and it's something that happens because after COVID now we have, of course, elevated traffic in the sky from airplanes going from A to B and carrying people from one location to the other. Here another image where I was shooting across the bridge, which I showed before on the map. And you see here a lot of structure, a lot of detail on that bridge. Of course, it's overexposed at a 32-second exposure. And you see also here in that direction coming the front lights from a car passing by. But again, the night sky is nice. I like a lot the way this is represented here by the camera. And also the silhouette of the mountain here is nice. You see a little bit of the lights of a small village here at the shore of the lake, quite nice. Here an image where I was shooting from one end of the bridge over the lake towards the mountains, and you see the mountains in the background. It was actually a pretty dark night, but nevertheless the camera replicated here the mountains in the background. And here you see again some light trails from an airplane, and you see a lot of details. You even see here, if you carefully look, a reflection of my tripod with the camera and myself mirrored in the lake. Here's the last image I wanted to show. Again, a nice representation of the night sky, almost no noise, shooting at ISO 1600. The mountains in the background, but here in the foreground you see a lot of structure. So here, for instance, you have, let me just center this for a moment, a floating island which people use for swimming in the lake. And clearly there's a bit of fuzziness coming from the movements of this island floating in the water. But in the foreground, everything is pinpoint sharp, and clearly there were some lights surrounding this area. But in general, I think it's a good testimony how capable the Leica M10-R is in combination with this Tri-Elmar super wide angle lens to provide nice and clean and crisp shots in low light and at nighttime. I hope you liked this short Leica episode and seeing me being enthusiastic about the Leica M10-R, but also the Leica M10, the M10P, the M10 Mono, the M9, going back in my case to film roll times to the Leica M4P, although I appreciate and acknowledge that the Leica M11 has the more modern design without a bottom plate, with an SL2 and Q2 type battery mechanism, an electronic shutter and lots of features. If you liked that video, don't forget to drop me a thumbs up. Stay tuned on my channel. There's always more to come. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy. And of course, peace out.